That's what she said. Slides first.
Well, good morning. I think Russ did a good job of seeing if we were all awake and how much we lost gambling last night. For those of us who are getting engaged, maybe just having a nice nightcap and going back to our room is probably a better route to go. So, today this is all about growth and finding new ways for you guys to be able to help find ways to add things to your practice and drive more growth for you. And today we've all been making this phenomenal shift to advisory, but we did hear that it's going to be fee compression, and we're going to need to find new ways to develop relationships with our clients and to drive more revenue over time. So your clients aren't just looking for you for a return, they're looking for you to help them provide the right guidance, support, and direction for their financial future. So with that, we need to find ways that we can interject ourselves into that and help them make sure that their financial house is in order. So one of the things that we want to be able to do is find a way to provide value and continue to provide that support for them. So to fill this gap, there are ways like Wealth.com, which has just been brought onto the platform, that I think are going to be big game changers for us to help us with that as we move forward. I'm really excited about this product. I know that Don has been very much involved with coming on board with us and testing it. And he even told me, I never thought Cetera would bring this onto our platform, so I didn't really go after it. Well, he's very excited to have it. He's really adopted it. I want you guys to be able to see how you might be able to adopt this into your practice to help your clients, whether it be with wealth planning, estate planning, all their legal side, while you're helping them with the financial side. So I'm very excited to introduce Wealth.com. They have their leading platform and estate planning tools out there and on the legal side. After a lot of research and rigorous background, Cetera brought them onto our platform, and they've also had a great opportunity because they just run a Wealthies Rewards, one of the best financial planning software platforms out there. So we've got a best-in-class tool that we're going to be able to show you today and find out a bit more about that. So I would like to have you, there's an opportunity for them to show us, and also for you to ask some questions as we go through this. So please welcome Tim White, in the middle here. We have Sarah Blanford, also from Wealth.com, and Dominic to really talk to you about this tool and how it might be fit into your practice, and also, hopefully, show you a little demonstration so you can decide this is something you want to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Appreciate it. We're very fortunate to be here. My name is Tim White. I am Chief Growth Officer. I'm also a co-founder here at Wealth.com. And yes, Sean's point, we partner with over 1,000 firms today. If you think all the way from a small advisor shop to the large private banks. We're backed by some of the incredible investors, so think like Citi Ventures, Google Ventures, and we just had an investment with Charles Schwab. So incredible companies back our technology. But before we jump into this, I want to give you our origin story. When we were bit by that radioactive spider and decided to create this company. So myself and the founding teams, we created a very successful payment startup that worked with American Express, MasterCard. We ended up selling the business in 2019 to LexisNexis for $500 million. It was a great exit, impacted our lives, but we understood through a process, we were working with our financial advisors, if we were going to do a restatement to our estate plan or get our estate plan in place, they referred us out to an attorney. We went to the attorney, met with the attorney, but we lost all that connection. All that information a financial advisor had on our family, our ambitions, our goals, we had to start from scratch. It was pen and paper. It was laborsome. And then immediately upon completing the estate plan, it started to gain dust on it. It was back behind our desk, and it wasn't dynamic. It wasn't kept up to date. And so that's when we created the vision document for Wealth.com. And the Wealth.com vision document always had Wealth.com as the logo. People often say, how did you get wealth.com? Well, that's how we spent the $500 million. So we're running on credit now. Just kidding. All kidding aside. But in order for us to build this product, we had to get the best team in place. And so our company, we have the best legal minds. From Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, McDermott, Will and Emery, Perk and Cooey, designing the product. So the quality and output is incredible. In addition to that, we have an attorney network across all 50 states and DC to make sure that documents created on the platform are optimized for the state. And on the product team, they're all former financial advisors because we don't sell our product direct. We only sell it through wealth management. And there's so many advantages to this because Dom's going to talk about how he's monetizing the platform. He's able to do that because the Smith family that you're working with can't come direct to buy the solution. So it's quality output in the technology. So what do we do with the tech? Well, we service across the wealth spectrum. So think mass affluent, high net worth, and also ultra high net worth. Today, we're going to be more narrow focused on what we're doing for mass affluent and high net worth. What that is actually we're doing the beautiful UX to be able to create documents on the platform for your clients. So think those foundational documents, power of attorney, healthcare directive, revocable trust, with all the complexity that you would expect to service your client. We dynamically monitor these as well, so if a kid is 18 and going off to college, we'll proactively reach out to you as an advisor to get that kid set up with a power of attorney, healthcare directive, etc. Now, I talked about some of our investors. I want to mention one, Google Ventures. Last year invested in wealth.com, first time ever investing in wealth tech. Why? Because we have a background in DNA and technology. Think about machine learning and AI, how to build efficiency within firms. So what we do today is super unique. How many of you have been saddled or stuck with reviewing an existing plan? Somebody comes to your office, new client, old client, they created a plan when they were in Utah 10 years ago, and they asked you to take a look at it. Has anyone been stuck with that in this room? Super laborsome. Takes a lot of time. Maybe you have to outsource it. Maybe you don't even do it. Well, with our technology, we actually read those plans in a matter of seconds using an optical reading, AI extraction, summarizing, taking key insights, and building absolutely beautiful visualization reports that you can sit with the client. We have partners that even monetize that as well. So we're going to take you through the platform. I got a great team on stage with me today, Sarah Blanford and also Dom. Sarah's going to go through some of the platform, but I want to ask one follow-up question. How many of you are offering estate planning today? You are? Okay, great. And are you using technology? We got one over there. Okay. Are you Cetera? Yeah. Well, it's not approved if you're not using wealth.com. So we got to talk to the head office, Sean, immediately. Grab her back. I'm so sorry to pull you. It's just the right thing to do. No, just kidding around. But without anyone else, so I imagine a lot of you are referring out to an attorney, if you are. In that process, we've had multiple conversations here throughout the last couple of days. Every person we talk to, they say it's a pain point, it's a problem. We're referring out, they're not referring back to us. So we're the solution for that. Give a round of applause for Sarah. Sarah's going to take the mic.
I appreciate that. I'm going to keep this really tight here. Just know if anyone's interested in seeing the technology in further detail, happy to schedule a demo with you guys. We can schedule 40-minute demos. You can double click into all of this. But purpose here is just so you guys all can walk away with high level, clear understanding of how this process works, what the technology looks like. The way that the interface is set up is there's two distinguished dashboards within the ecosystem. There's an advisor dashboard, which I have up here, and then there's a separate interface, the client dashboard. That's important because that creates a firewall from that document creation process. Like Tim mentioned, the only way that your clients are going to get access to wealth.com is through the partnership with you, through the financial advisor. As the advisor, you do have read-only access to clients' documents in the advisor dashboard. You also have the ability to go in and monitor where exactly clients are in the document creation process. If I click here into this client's account, I want to go view details, I can pull up these reports. Now, I want to actually spend most of our time quickly here in the client dashboard, bringing to life for you guys what does it look like to use wealth.com to create those estate planning documents. We're going to go to Dom to hear his experience and how he rolls this out in that client meeting, but just so you guys can see the technology at a high level, the type of documents we can draft are summarized here: nomination of guardianship, financial power of attorney, advanced healthcare directive, last will and testament, individual and joint revocable trust. The first decision that your client needs to make is, do I need a will-based plan or a trust-based plan? We don't want that decision to fall on you, the advisor, or the client. Most clients have no idea what the difference is between the two. And so you can see here, this is the smart interface that's infused throughout this entire experience. We have clients respond to this short pre-qualifying quiz. Based on how someone responds to this quiz, the tool gives them a best match output. So this looks at from where they live, right, the legal jurisdiction that they're subject to, as well as their unique life situation, what type of documents are best suited for them. They can override this quiz at any time, but again, this is us guiding them through that experience, showing you that it's not that the decision doesn't fall on your client, it doesn't fall on you. There's a lot of guidance throughout this process. It takes, on average, less than 30 minutes to get through the trust creation workflow questions. So what does that mean? You can schedule a 60-minute meeting with your client and really hold your client's hand in getting through this process. As I go through, you're going to see the UI experience. It's really clean, it's intuitive. There's FAQs here on the right. You'll notice here you can use Vault.com to create a new trust or restate a trust. I'm not going to click through everything here, but I do want to point to just how easy it is to get through this experience. There's also guardrails throughout this process. So here in special family circumstances, if I say I have a child with special needs, we don't draft special needs trust. There's going to be an alert that pops up to mention there's a nationwide attorney network that sits on top of this technology. This is how easy it is to request this attorney consultation. It's a pre-negotiated 30-minute consultation, and it's a great resource that sits on top of the technology. They can get a trust and estate attorney on the line, licensed in their state, to help answer any legal questions that they may have. Now, jumping ahead to the output, at the end of this experience, instantaneously, there's always 3 outputs for review. The first on the right here is a one-page summary of everything I entered into the workflow. This acts as a great QC process. And again, as the advisor, you have the ability to pull up all 3 of these outputs in the advisor dashboard. Here on the left are the actual legal documents. You can print right here in office at home at no additional cost. There are signing instructions. As I scroll through this, you're going to see these look and feel just like your typical legal documents. Your client may get to page 2, page 3, and they're like, okay, Rod, can you please explain this to me? I have no idea what's in this document. And what's beautiful is you can go to the right here and you can pull up this visual report. I downloaded this report just to make it big for you guys. And this visual report is so impactful, right? Because how many times do those clients come to you and ask you as the advisor, can you please explain what's in this legal document? I have no idea what's in this. You can pull up this dynamic report and really bring to life the legal implication of these documents. On the right, you're going to see visuals, and then on the left, in layman terms, not legal terms, what the role is of that individual. So the trustee appointer, any special provisions I may have within my document, executor of the will, guardians of the children. We can account for pet caretakers. I'm sure there's a handful of people here with pets. And then some educational side. So really think about order of operations, assets that are subject to probate versus assets that aren't subject to probate. All stuff you guys know, but great education for your clients, for those family members, really spelling out, okay, what happens at death? You do have your death tax and expenses, any gifts, then there's the distribution of residual estate. What are those gifts? Who are those gifts going to, as well as the estimated value of those gifts? And then here you can see there's the scenario analysis. So what happens at first step? You can see within my documents, I have a marital trust, I have a blended family, there's also a credit shelter trust, and then at the death of my spouse, you'll see those assets are going to 2 children, and then a charity listed here. You'll notice it says trust, right? It's not going outright. If I were to pass away today, I don't want my 8-year-old son to inherit these assets. I want those assets to be in a trust. So that's all levers I can pull on in the trust creation workflow. As I go on to the next page, you're going to see my child's trust features listed here on the left. They control the trust at 30. Those assets remain in trust for the remainder of their life. That's all the information I enter into the workflow. I can say they never control the trust. I can say they have an early distribution right at a specific age. So there's a high level of customization within that trust workflow experience. We're just keeping them in this controlled sandbox environment. Now, the other thing I want to quickly go to, and then we'll switch over to Dom and really hear his experience of rolling out this technology, is I do want to show you our AI extraction tool. Our AI extraction tool is incredible. It's remarkable how easy it is for advisors to read and review estate planning documents that have been drafted off our platform. I'm going to pull up a sample client profile here. The AI extraction tool lives in the advisor dashboard, right? So your clients don't have access to it, but you as the advisor have access to it. I'm going to pull up this sample document. I'm going to go into the extraction report. So you upload this document to our tool. This is a family trust document. You're going to see an executive summary. This takes a few seconds. Within less than 90 seconds, you're going to get bullet point format of all the key disposition details. What happens upon first step? What happens upon second step? Our extraction tool can also summarize amendments. There's 3 amendments associated with this trust. We'll summarize what the First Amendment says, Second Amendment says, and then the final amendment side by side. We also hyperlink this information. So you think about a 50-page document, trying to get the lay of the land. Where's this information live? Well, we hyperlink it. You click on this hyperlink, it's going to go into the actual document and highlight where this information is being pulled from. Now, there's also an insight category, right? So if I click into the insights are areas of consideration to facilitate a conversation between the advisor and the client on reasons why you may want to update or revisit your estate planning document. So you can see here, different consideration, distribution structure for children. You may want to reconsider that. There's if assets or if the documents weren't properly, or the amendments weren't properly notarized, if there's spelling errors, if there's old legal provisions within the document, if there's no digital asset clause. All of these things are tools that are elements that we'll look for within the tool to bring to life for your client. And again, just to make sure these clients are, or make sure these documents are up to date for your clients. Now, the other thing that we have is a Q&A feature. So how many times does a client come to you and they're saying, or they ask you, who are the beneficiaries of this trust? Or is so-and-so listed in this document? Or let's say your client has an irrevocable trust, maybe you have an ultra high net worth type client, and you're trying to confirm, is this a grantor trust? You can ask our Q&A tool. Our Wi-Fi is a little slow here, so I'm not going to run it live. In a demo, if you walk over, we're happy to run this live for you. You can ask our Q&A tool within a few seconds. We'll share with you the output. We'll show you the output for 4 different large language models. Now, this information, your client's PII information, is never shared back to these large language models. So your client's private information is never going to be sent to or shared with ChatGPT or Gemini. It's a one-way flow of information, so it's very secure. We've gone through, as you can imagine, extensive due diligence on this tool, on our AI model with Cetera's home office. Now, the other thing that we do quickly is we take this executive summary, and some advisors are like, hey, I want to share this with my client, but maybe I don't want to share this in a one-page summary. Maybe I want to put this in a visual format. So what we're able to do is, as I move forward, you can actually push this into a visual format, similar to what I showed you in this visualization part of the document creation side. So that means we can use Wealth.com, or you can use Wealth.com to help your clients out an estate plan, set up those core estate planning documents. But for all of your clients who have existing plans, years have gone by since you reviewed those plans, you can leverage our AI tool to upload those documents, summarize them, visualize them, and really add a ton of ongoing value to your client when it comes to estate planning. All right, so like I said, really quick overview of the platform. Again, if you schedule a demo with us, we'll double click into all those features. If you're interested, please stop by afterwards. We'd love to show you the platform. But for the remainder of this time, we really want to open this up to Q&A. We really want to share Dom's experience of leveraging this technology. We have some questions to ask Dom, but we're going to come to the audience. We want to make sure we answer your questions. So I'm going to kick us off here. After we get through this one question, we're coming to you. We want to hear from you. I know you guys have questions, I'm sure, on the technology and the process. But Dom, let's go to you, and let's just hear, how did you start implementing the Wealth.com technology in your business?
I learned that it was being offered as Cetera, and found that I talked to you guys in the onboarding process, and basically said, well, how can I monetize this? How can this benefit me and my practice, and also my clients? And you guys gave me some ideas, which I deemed that $1,500 was a fair monetization price, which I do through AdvicePay. And every client that I've called is like, oh my God, that's great. So I had 2 clients, one that I had referred to a lawyer, but I knew he didn't like the pricing the lawyer was going to charge, and I knew that he wanted to do a plan. So basically, I got approved to use it, got it, AdvicePay all set up, got my fee structure set up on my fee page on my website. Called him on Tuesday, he came in on Wednesday, we wrote his plan. Called another client that I knew wanted to do a plan on that Wednesday, and Thursday I wrote a plan. Just to get comfortable, because I knew that these clients were low-hanging fruit, and we have a lot of those clients on our books that we know need plans, we know haven't done anything, and probably won't do anything because they don't have the time, they don't have the money, or they don't trust who the lawyer is. So they trust us. So it's a great aspect there. Second thing is, we're helping a lot of those clients build their assets throughout their lifetime. We're helping a lot of those clients spend their assets and live in retirement. But we're not helping the assets get sent to their beneficiaries potentially in the best manner. Well, if we, the one thing is, again, how many, I'm sure you all refer to lawyers, and how many of you have actually gotten referrals back from lawyers besides Iron Tree that got a 401k? I see 2 hands of people that have gotten referrals. Well, what's the big problem? 10 years from now, your client passes away, and I referred them to Tim, the lawyer. And Tim made friends with Anthony as another financial advisor. And Tim's like, you know what? I like Anthony better. I'm going to refer these people that died, the kids, to Anthony instead of me. So I'm going to potentially lose clients because the lawyer might not refer my client's kids to me. They might refer them to somebody else. Well, if I've helped with the financial plan, I've helped with the estate plan, and I've made it easier for the beneficiaries to get the money in potentially a much better tax managed way or a planned out way, who here thinks there's not a better chance of us keeping the next generation? I don't see anybody raising their hand, so I'm thinking people agree that that's a potential option. So we're in control. We know what's going on. How many people here, raise your hand if you've had to wait a week, a month for a client to find their documents that they drew up? Well, guess what? They can scan the documents into a vault. So when the person passes on and they can't find the documents, we can get them access to the scanned in legal documents so they can move on with their estate. So we can actually, in their time of grief, when they can't find the documents, because I know everybody that's been in the business for numerous years has had that issue, we can now give them the documents. That's made this relationship even stronger, because now in their time of grief, we made their life easier. The lawyer might have disappeared. Client is going to move. As Tim said, these documents can be done in different things. I made the decision, and you guys can obviously make your own decision, that the $1,500 is a one-time charge for clients. So if one of my clients moves from New York to Florida, I can run their documents in Esther AI. It's okay, this is how we need to rechange the documents for Florida. And I'm going to give them the new documents for Florida because I want them to refer me to me. And in the 6 months I've been using this, I've had numerous clients already say, do they need to be a client? I'm like, no. Because guess what? They're going to become a client when I do advice pay, because I got to put them in the system. And if I've helped them with that and I know their assets, you think there's a good likelihood we can get the other assets, even though we didn't get them as a wealth management referral? So there's just so many things that we can do. As Tim said, it's intuitive. So my plan, and anybody that has the new CI offices with the wonderful tech that they've designed for us, I have them come into a meeting room. I put it in incognito. I put my device, if they don't have theirs, in incognito mode, so all their information not saved on my computer after we're done. And they'll go on it. I'll have them looking at the questions, and I'll have the questions up on a screen. So it's not that we're helping them, but I can say, okay, well, this is what it's telling you, but you have to come up with the answer. Because again, we can't give the answer. Sarah said this takes about a half hour. Well, I learned after my first 2 how to make it a half hour. They have 2 wonderful questionnaires, one for an individual and one for a couple. You can send it to your client or prospect prior to the meeting. So they're going to fill out all the basic stuff that they would need, who their beneficiaries want to be, who their trustees. So they're going to have all the answers, even though they don't know they have all the answers done, they're going to have all the answers done. So when they get to the questions, it's not thinking, am I picking this person or am I picking this person? They already know most of the answers, most of the things. So we can finish it in a half hour. Then I will have them go home. I want them to review everything, make sure they are happy with all the answers, and then we'll set up a second appointment where we're going to get it notarized, which they have a great mobile notary service, which is, it's not cheap, but they'll bring everybody you need and they know what they're doing. I have not used it yet, but if the client doesn't want to bring it to a bank or want to do something, it is an option where you can have somebody else come to the office. We've just done the traditional go to the bank with the wonderful instructions they give. So you don't have to think who signs here, who signs there. They make it easy for us. Does anybody have any questions? But I know I just rattled off a lot of information.
That one over here.
Oh, yeah?
I can yell.
He's a marathon runner.
Yeah. Get my cardio this way.
Do you charge a separate fee for
doing this with them?
Absolutely. It's $1,500. I have it laid on if you go on my website, on our about section of transparency fees, I have my financial planning fee, and right below it, it says estate planning fee. And people understand that we're giving them another service that's outside of our realm, and they know if they're gonna go to a lawyer, they're gonna pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 or more, depending. So they're comfortable paying it. I've yet to have anybody say to me, "Oh my God, why are you charging me? Oh my God, that's too expensive." Look, between all of us here, if somebody comes to me and has an exorbitant amount of net worth, and they're gonna give me a lot of assets, and it's a deal breaker not to charge them, obviously we can change the rules. But for the bulk of the people, look, we're spending our time, we need to make something, and we're also investing. You know, it's $4,500 a year for us to have this plan. So, you know, you can give it, you can be altruistic, no one's gonna judge you if you are, but to me, I know I sell 3 plans or more a year. I've got something I can offer my clients, I've got something I can value. I personally don't do right now RME or whatever seminars we're doing. I build my clients more from referrals and whatnot. But I was talking to another advisor and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm doing a lot of these seminars in the next month or so. I don't have the time to do something different." To me, when you got that plate liquor at a seminar that's thinking, "Oh, I got a financial advisor," I would throw this up saying, "This is something else we offer." You might get somebody from your seminar that you wouldn't have gotten because they were just not thinking they were only thinking of coming there because you're talking about Social Security and financial planning, and they're happy with their advisor, but their advisor doesn't do this. So it could be another way to get in the door when you're in front of new people.
Dom, do you want to elaborate too on the marketing kit that you're leveraging?
Yes, so I had the honor of beta testing their marketing kit, which they're going to, anybody that signs up during this month, they're going to give it to free. There is a cost for it extra. It's got emails you can send to clients. It's an email sequence of 3. They're designing a 4th email as per something I requested. The 3rd email has 2 options, one if you're charging, one if you're not. The 4th email is going to be this fantastic video that I shared with clients, which is also Terra approved. They've looked at everything. There's just some disclosures you have to put on the email, which if anybody contacts me, I'll give you the disclosure so you can even send it into ad review without doing it, without waiting for them to kick it back to you saying, "Here's the disclosure you need." It's got an amazing open rate. I've had clients call me, "So you're doing well, you're doing estate planning now?" And when I send out the questionnaires, I send the video. It's a 2-minute change video, which is on my website. So if anybody goes to my website, dandarwealth.com, you can see the video that you can actually be able to offer your clients. They can be branded. So if you've got to get branding, so it starts off with Dandar Wealth Management and ends it again with all the proper disclosures that Terra needs. And there are some different disclosures because we're not lawyers. So there's a disclosure that says we're not lawyers and we're not acting in that way. But it's real simple, very easy verbiage, and like I said, I can give it to any of you very easily.
And one thing too, I mean, we are a hyper-growth company. It's not just because we have fantastic technology, it's the people that we layer on top of this. So upon signing, we have an onboarding, we have a client success manager within wealth.com that's going to help you with the marketing, answer questions that you have, and be there to guide you through the wealth.com partnership. In addition to that, the application has both chat, email, and phone embedded, both for your experience, but also for the client experience. And this isn't, you're calling, you go into a triage, you're sent to India, somebody's answering the call. No, these are W-2 Wealth.com employees that work very, very closely with our legal team. They're granted not answering specific legal questions, but they have a triage of pre-made 300 plus Q&As that they're able to resource outside of just some of the technology questions.
There's also, I forgot, there's also a great PowerPoint presentation, which I'm actually waiting to hear back from one of my clients to talk to their group and talk about. So I have a whole presentation, which again, I put it through ad review. Any one of you, if you get access to the marketing kit, will be able to utilize that presentation also. You know, everything, Cetera has no problems with any of the stuff in the kit as of right now. I know they're going to be adding stuff as time goes on, and we'll run it through, but so there's some great resources that you can help promote it. I took a lot of their stuff off their website, and I have a wealth.com page on my website. So people can see it and look at it and see that we offer it, and it does get looked at because I do check my Google Analytics to see what pages are looked at.
Yeah, I think just to add a little bit of perspective too on the monetization piece, just so you guys are aware, we work with thousands and thousands of advisors. Over 60% of our advisors monetize this platform. On average, across the country, it's around $1,500 that advisors are charging for this service. It does vary depending on where you are geographically. I'm in California. I know a handful of advisors charging $200 to $2,500 for the service, knowing that if your client were to go to an attorney, they'd be charged $5,000. So you do see a lot of advisors monetizing this platform, and I think too there's value, frankly, and people value what they pay for, right? And so I think it incentivizes someone to actually go through this process, and your time's super valuable as well. So a lot of advisors do bundle this, especially the Cetera advisors, as a fee for service, and then, like Dom said, you can run this through Advice Pay, so within the Cetera system.
Kristen's question now.
Do you just charge the flat $1,500 for like a trust, or do you do a lower or higher amount if you're doing like a smaller product? Or
No, it's for the wealth.com platform. So it's whatever they need in the documents is what they're going to get, and they're not going to just get a trust. They're going to get a minimum of the trust, a forward will, a healthcare proxy, and a power of attorney.
Okay, so you let the program dictate which way you go, and it's always that rate.
Yeah, I like that. Because again, we need to let the program go the way it goes. Because again, we're not lawyers, so anybody that signs up within 30 days, you're going to get an attestation that you've got to go through, and it basically says in like 17 million different ways, you're not a lawyer. You don't practice. You're not a lawyer on TV. You don't pretend. So you let it go through it. So it'll give you options. It'll say, like, that's when Sarah put up, it'll say these are the things you could do. I will always tell a client, if they say that's the best practice, you're paying for whatever you're getting, so let's do what they're suggesting as the best practice, because they've tested this out with all of these different combination of answers. So I tell them, let's do the whole process, get everything you're supposed to get.
So that's my follow-up with compliance and things like that. They don't have any issue because we're not attorneys. It's as long as you're just doing what the program tells you to do, we're fine to charge, and these documents.
There's some training you have to go through quickly on it, a training program, but again, you're just making this available. And the nice thing that I really think about, we all have to do our reviews for all our advisory accounts. What are you going to talk about? After a while, it's like, yep, here's what you did. Thank you. Anything changed? No, move on. What about people saying, hey, have you reviewed your estate plan? You've got kids going to college, with all these different things that they need legally that they don't keep up. This allows you to stay in the game and make sure it stays up to date.
Or do you have one?
Yes.
Yeah. Even more.
Sorry,
I'm
Chris.
sorry, no, you don't have to bring it. I guess the third follow-up question is, does it include, and maybe this is more people in the planning platform, I know each state kind of has their own different elder care kind of laws that roll into that. Does it incorporate any of that in the system and paperwork?
The documents themselves are 100% state optimized. So Florida documents, anyone in here in Florida? Great, so you know the homestead, unique into the revocable trust would be a homestead provision. That would be in the California document. So our attorney network steps in to continue to monitor any legal or law changes and making sure those documents are optimized. One thing I think, just to double click in to what Don was saying, he's charging $1,500. That Smith family, that's a client 3 years, 5 years in, decides to move states. We do that in a matter of seconds within the platform to Floridize those documents. Let's say if they moved from Texas to Florida. He's not charging them again. He's not charging them again if their daughter, Cindy, is going off to college and they need to get a power of attorney healthcare directive. And that's active intelligence that we're providing you. And it's such an important piece of that advisor-client relationship. I do want to say one thing. Cetera does not joke around. When we go through, it was a 2-year process. They went, they vetted all the technology, chose us. But we had so many calls with their legal team, so many calls with their product and security teams to make sure we're the right partner for you. In addition to that, we carry the bag as well from a situation if there was ever an issue. So I just want to be crystal clear there.
There is a financial power attorney, you said. Is that springing? Is it durable, or do they get the option to choose, or do you just have one flat one they can have?
It's So whatever it sets up for the power of attorney is how I put it in. So however each one is set up for each person, it's set up ready to go.
But the technology does offer the option for either a scrimming or durable.
We'll have to follow up to you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wayne and I, we have two kind of clients. Client that they came to us, they want a new trust. Sometimes it's complicated trust, like charity trust, dynasty trust. And sometimes they have their own trust, they want us to review and give them an opinion. Of course, we're not lawyers, but if we go to Wealth.com, we're gonna assume they review a trust or wrote a trust, so somebody gonna sign as a lawyer, even though there's no paper, only signed. Somebody have to sign, let me please finish. Somebody if they sign as a lawyer, that's gonna be obligated to Wealth.com, but there is somebody legally put their name in it to review or to create one. The other question would be, if you charge a client, the client is paying you, or paying Cetera, or paying whom?
Well, they're paying me, but I'm billing them through Advice Pay, so it's getting billed to Advice Pay, so so my $1,500 goes to Advice Pay, we get 81% of that for us, and Cetera gets their piece, obviously.
Oh, so they're paying Cetera then?
Well, they're paying Advice Pay. Like, I can't have them write me a check to Dominic DeAndrea in pocket. It has to be recorded. That would get us in trouble. We do not want to do that. I send them an invoice for Advice Pay and they pay it. And a week or two, I see it on my commission statement that I got paid for it. We're not lawyers, and we're not signing off as the documents. But as Tim said, every one of their documents has been run through lawyers. Cetera's run through it. Like Sean joked that I said I never brought it. I met Tim a year and a half plus ago at a different conference that I was speaking at, and he was showing me this stuff, and I basically said to him, like, I love it, but I can never see them approving it, because actually a few years ago, me and Stefan actually tried to do something like this with a different company, and we were basically told, you're not lawyers, you can't do it. So I never even thought of asking ever again. So when I found out we were getting them, I was beyond ecstatic, because I already knew the value of what it could bring to my clients, because I wanted to do it a few years ago.
Yeah, of course you're not lawyers, but if somebody in California or somebody in New York, they want to create a trust, somebody have to give them the advice, and there have to be a name there that says so-and-so is advising you. No?
That's where they have the backing of them. They have their lawyers are drawing up the document. So their program is intuitive, that it creates the document the way it needs to be created for that person in that state. So when it's done, it is a legal document because of what they're doing on the background. They have the lawyer teams that are designing documents for all of these states. And the client knows we are not lawyers. We are,
So they have a network of attorneys, state by state, that will sign their name to the documents.
So yeah, just to double click on that, the platform's built by us. The documents are drafted by our in-house legal team. They're reviewed by every attorney covering all 50 states and DC, right? At the end of the process, there are state-specific signing instructions to legally validate these documents. Some states require in-person witnesses, some states don't. There's different requirements as well as who can qualify as a witness. So in California, you need 2 in-person witnesses. That's where you can send over a mobile notary. The notary service would provide those in-person witnesses as well. What's legally happening through this process is the client's representing themselves. So there's actually no attorney's name listed on the document. Now, if someone wants that peace of mind, they want to speak with an attorney, they want to just make sure all the legalese aspects checks out, that's where the attorney network can come in. You can request that 30-minute consultation. It's a pre-negotiated 30-minute consultation for $240. They can meet with that client, give them the peace of mind, yes, this is what those documents mean, this is what you intended, and yes, these documents are exactly what you're wishing.
And I actually had to use that with a client because she had a situation where it's the marriage, the husband has kids, she doesn't, and she doesn't want her house to go. So we had to do a few extra steps and talk to an attorney, which was fantastic. One suggestion, if you do talk to one of their attorneys on the network, you only have a limited half hour. So I used Jump AI, another one of our approved processes, and did a note-taking so I could rattle off questions to the lawyer. So I was able to maximize the 30 minutes of questions, not as they were writing stuff down, and then I was able to send the client all of the answers to the questions so she was able to understand what her decisions were. So the tools that Cetera is giving us, we can marry them and give more value to our clients even in that aspect.
The other thing that's really helpful with the attorney network is once these documents are created, at the end of this process, there's a funding checklist to help facilitate the conversation between the advisor and clients on assets that need to be moved into the trust. One of the big things is retitling or moving real estate into the trust. Our attorney network is happy to facilitate deed transfers. That fee varies depending on where someone is geographically, but that's a great service. So if someone does need to move the house, the real estate into the trust, you can tap into the attorney network for that.
And you know my favorite thing, besides the tech part, is their 1-800 number. First of all, you don't have to press a nuclear code to get a human being. You actually dial the number, and you wait a minute or two, depending on how backed up they are, maybe 3 minutes, and you're getting a person. And you're not getting a call center in Mumbai. It's somebody here that understands this culture, understands us, understands conversation and questions. So it's a great service there. And it's a small team. I've spoken to the same people a few times, so we know how to talk to each other now because they understand my questions and I understand their answers. So it's a great value add there.
We have a question over here. Oh,
So how responsive are the attorneys? Like, is it weeks that they get back to the person?
Oh no, we try to schedule that within 5 days of that request coming in.
Yes, if you refer a client to the attorney, they call them, it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
we try to strike while the iron's hot.
Right.
Yeah.
The interest is there, and we go.
Carrie, you want to be on that call. Like it's a Zoom call with an attorney, so we scheduled it that it was me and that client and the lawyer. Because, again, we understand the process of what's going on enough to be dangerous, not to be lawyers. So knowing that, we're able to know what the client wants and facilitate the questions in an easier, quicker manner to get more value out of them.
Just so you know, I mean, Wealth.com is at every major event. We have Future Proof, Schwab Impact is coming up. You're not the first mover in this technology. This category is absolutely red hot. We have a team of the #1 IMO that they had an event this week. So this is being embedded into advisors' tech stacks. And so to be competitive, it's something you should at least consider as an option. Obviously, the monetization, increased AUM. In unlocking Wealth.com, because it is a subscription product, it is 4,500 retail. We do have different teaming structures and discounts that we can apply, but that includes the entire book of business that you have. So getting those restatements, the AI scanning, the active dynamic monitoring on the platform, it's all included in that single fee. So I like how Don puts it. You just need to get 3 clients served, and you're already in a place of making money, building stronger relationships. Any other questions? Oh, wow, thank you. I did run a marathon.
That's
Santa
it.
Rosa.
Sprinting faster.
Yeah, did not get a Boston qualifying time, you can tell.
Are we allowed to be those witnesses? You're saying that we need to have witnesses, so we are allowed to be those witnesses?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with every state nuance there, but for example, I know many, there's one large partner I work with closely in California. They're bringing on new clients all the time, but meeting with clients virtually, no one wants to come to the office. They actually use the signing ceremony as a way to get that new client into the office, and they actually use the executive team as witnesses. They have one of the people there, they have like a welcome gift, a firm. So absolutely, as long as, I know in California you can't be listed in the document, as long as you're not listed in the document, you can play that role of an in-person witness.
Even help the clients out. Absolutely.
Oh, I love this.
Timing.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and forth, right?
With a $4,500 annual subscription and the clients continue to have access, if we were to ever cancel our subscription, do they lose access to their digital documents and everything at that point?
Yeah, so we very intentionally disable end client access. Everything we do is through the financial advisor. So if financial advisors aren't working with us or that client's no longer working with you, we do disable access to the platform. That said, your client does have, and you have, 30 days to download those documents. So you have access via the advisor dashboard to download those documents. Your client can also download those documents. What does that mean? They're just left with a paper trail of those documents, which is what they would get anyways if they would go to an attorney.
So based on your question, it's another sticky point to keep them as a client. Because if they want to have access to change the documents, they have access as long as they're a client of yours. So it gives them a reason not to leave you because somebody else is in, well, they're charging 1.3%, I'm going to charge 1%. Well, that 0.3 basis points might be enough to say, you know what, I'm going to stay with Dominic because I wanna have those documents and access to those documents forever, not to lose them to save a little bit of money. The other thing is, I think it's gone away because I've run through the system a bunch of times. But early on, what I did get from compliance was, you're charging them this and they're paying an advisory fee. I just sent an email back to them and said, this is part of an estate plan, it's a separate entity, and it was no problem. I haven't gotten it in the last couple of plans. So I think they know, I think they, the back of us now knows about it, so you guys probably won't have that, but if you do get that email, just send back saying, this is a separate part of my planning process. And it's just, you know, and it's not a problem.
Do you assist with the process in settling the estate after the individual is passed?
Well, I want to, I haven't.
Not in.
If you do need attorney support, so let's say you need help settling the estate, maybe there's tax implications, you're looking for guidance on that, our attorney network is happy to facilitate and step in there. They have, with some settlements, helped out with other situations.
You guys want to tie this even tighter? We now have Cetera Trust. So you can name Cetera Trust as the trustee for the trust potentially, which then means you're completely roped in that when the trustee will actually do the settlement at that particular point in time. But it's a Cetera entity, which means where's the likelihood of where the funds are going to stay? If it's an outside trustee, they may convince or try to talk to people to take the funds, other if it's a bank or something like that. That's why we formed Cetera Trust, because we want to make sure that there aren't these things pulling away your assets because that client is selling the trust and that bank or whatever its name is, well, we'll take care of the money for it, we can do that. So you name Cetera Trust as one of the potential trustees to do that.
Question over here.
Yeah, I don't think I need the mic, but do you need a financial planning?
Oh, I don't think they can hear you.
So I know you said this to advice pay, but do you need like some sort of financial planning, like relationship to do the wealth.com, or can a client come to you and say, hey, I need trust, I need this, I have this money in fidelity, yeah, don't charge us anything, I don't want to move this.
They do not need, that's the benefit of this.
Okay.
They do not need to be an investment client with us because we're doing the consulting agreement and advice pay. We're putting them in advice works, we're putting them in the system because we still have to do that so they can go through advice pay. But the goal is that that client that doesn't want to give you the fidelity money today, after they get to know you, talk to you, and see the value, you backdoor yourself into that relationship where you wouldn't have gotten it. That's why I was saying earlier, any of you do seminars, this is a great thing to present at the seminar saying, this is something else I do. So you might get that person, you might get her, she's sitting there saying, you know what, I'm coming here because I want the free dinner and I have no desire to move my money from Merrill or whoever. But then you say, well, you know what, another thing I offer is I help facilitate estate plans. She went and said, you know, I need that. What do you charge for? $1,500. Now you got her. After 6 months, a year of talking, our wonderful email drips we have and everything we can offer, you've got a very good chance now of getting that person because odds are the other person isn't doing that stuff. But they don't know better because they don't know us.
Quick follow-up, sorry. The $1,500 you charge for any plan, like no matter how complex or how many documents.
No, I don't, because I don't want to have it be ever opening up a can of worms. So I sit down with you, and you don't need everything. I sit down with her, and she's married and needs a few more documents and has a pet, so she needs a pet document. And she has kids, so she needs a kid document. You don't. You're you. I don't want to deal with that. It's $1,500 flat because there's too many intangibles. My financial planning is different. So I do have a fee for families, I do have a fee for individuals, and I have a millennial Gen Z starter package that I charge them less so I can help them, but still monetize my time. So I do have a fee for that.
And also just think about how many younger people don't have these documents. You start there with them and do the advice pay. Down the road, when they do get successful, you've been helping them in their initial journey. Where are they going to end up?
That's true.
Which is why I have the Gen Z millennial starter package. I make money and I get to keep it.
I was just wondering from an operational standpoint, are you an office of one?
No, I'm a team of two.
Team of two, the other person advisor too?
Yes.
So do you both offer this, or does one of you say?
I'm the one that handles that part of the plan. You know, if you were in the partnership meeting the other day, everybody should have a role. So the estate planning part is my role, so I can learn the software inside and out. I know what's going on. So he handles other important stuff for the team. But that's, tech is my baby. Like, I love tech. I love working with tech. I love digital marketing, all of the above. So anytime I get a new toy that can help me grow, I jump on it and figure a way to make it work, and this has been fantastic. And I can't foresee ever having a year that I won't make back the money and more, just in the fees. Forget about the assets that are going to come along with it as more and more of these relationships are built.
And then are you putting like a follow-up tickler for so many years into the future to reach back out for updates? Or is this just for the people that aren't, say, advisory clients that just come from this?
I've yet to have somebody that's not an advisory client do it, but that's a good idea. I probably will have something in there to review, but because everybody that's been an advisory client already needs a 1-year review anyhow, so it's already built into my plan. But yes, no, I would definitely see doing that for the clients that don't have it, because again, you want to show them value. You can pull the documents, but you don't have to be in person again, and it's a quick review, so you don't, But again, every time you review anything you do, what can happen on that phone call? Oh, can you help my cousin? Can you help my sister? Can you help my brother? So anything you can talk more about the value you're bringing to them, it's always going to be better.
I think on the review side of things, that's the beautiful thing of the digital ecosystem. So a couple months ago, there was a change to Washington state laws that affected our documents. Guess how long it took us to update our documents? The very next day, advisors were notified of the platform, clients were notified of our platform if they had documents that were affected by the change. That's how easy it is to keep these documents up to date and reflective of up-to-date estate law changes. And even within the ecosystem, to mention this, there's smart notifications. If your client sells their home, you have a direct API integration with Zillow, you're going to get pinged. So-and-so sold their home, did they move states? If yes, make sure you log back in, click of a button, they can update those documents. So if your client drafted documents on our platform and years go by and there's changes to the document, we're going to ping you and the client that so-and-so needs to update their documents.
Excellent. So we're getting to the end here. I think you're thinking, well, what's next? We're going to lock the doors here, and we're going to get your details. No, it's a timeshare. We're going to make sure that you have the steak dinner. You're going to have to hear even more of the pitch. But no, in all reality, we're very hands-on, especially in the onboarding process. We have a fantastic team across the United States, geography-wise. So if you're interested, we're going to be here. We're also going to be in that high top in the back. We'd love to capture your name. All we need is your name. We'll follow up in polite email, and then we could set up a demo call, answer additional questions with your team. We have what we call landing pages as well. These landing pages are infused with technology that allows you to actually touch and feel the product, specifically like on the AI extraction. Run a sample doc, see how it performs. If you want to look at the workflow, you have a chance to touch and feel the workflow. So again, we're going to be right here. We got about 5 minutes till the 15-minute networking break. We're going to be in the back corner over there with some hats and some playing cards and some sunglasses. But just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. I know it's precious. We really appreciate it. We're really excited about the partnership. Dom, thank you so much for joining us on stage. And Sarah, fantastic job in the demo, but thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I would definitely, if you do sign up for the plan, the first plan you do should be yours even if you have one. Because then you really learn how it works. Like I did a plan for me and my wife. My son, who's now 18, he gets my dog if something happens to one of us. Yeah. My daughter's only 14, so I can't give it to him to her. But but I did play with it, so I got to see how it worked for me, so I understood how to help clients out. And you don't have to charge yourself $1,500.
You just charge Dom. Thank you so much.